So he's been unemployed. Yaz doesn't know that he's unemployed, and he's been dressing up every day, going to whatever make-believe office and pretending he's employed. Yeah. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel where we discuss all things movies, TV shows, and Hollywood. So today we're going to be talking about Netflix's new couples therapy show, Blue Therapy. And I'm telling you guys, as soon as I saw the trailer for this show, I knew it was going to be good. I knew I had to watch it because there's a whole lot of mess and drama going on, and I want to get straight into it because I have a lot to say. Okay. So basically, I just want to go over the couples and give basically my opinions about some of these dilemmas. I don't even know why I'm calling them dilemmas. Some of them are so straightforward. I was just like, just y'all can actually just break up. Like it's not even that serious to be dragging this onto Netflix for the world to see when you could have just broken up. It was just that simple. But yeah, that's just my opinion. But let's get straight into it. Now, first of all, I would like to say that everything I'm going to say here is just my opinion. I'm not a psychologist and I don't know these people from Adam. So I'm not coming off of knowing them personally. This is just what I'm seeing on screen and what I have to say about it. So the first couple I want to get into is Daisy and Jay. So Daisy and Jay are basically this couple, boyfriend, girlfriend, and they share a daughter together. She's about 1 year old. So basically what we find out is when Daisy found out that she was pregnant, them two were broken up. So Jay didn't actually even want the child. He thought he wasn't ready, but Daisy kind of felt guilty about, trying to get rid of the child, so she had the child. And we find out that on the day when she delivered this baby, literally he was present when she gave birth, and then he left the day after to get a tattoo. When his girlfriend had just given birth to his child, he went to get a tattoo. I said, there's actually no way of being serious. And then instead of feeling sorry about it, he's telling the therapist, yeah, I want to get a tattoo because she was being taken care of by nurses. So because now the mother of your child is being surrounded by nurses, it means you don't need to be in the hospital. It means she doesn't need to be taken care of. Because at this point they had already gotten back together. They pretty much, I'm getting the vibe that they stayed together for the child. They say they didn't, but guys, it's given that they were kind of on again, off again, but definitely when they had the child, they decided to continue being together. And then he decided to pull that nonsense, and he doubles down on it. Oh my gosh. So she basically is like, I felt very unsupported when I first had my child, and it's like understandable. But what are we even talking about? So yeah, and then we find out some more information about them in this therapy session. So basically, a whole bunch of things that were being dropped. I don't know how like real it was, like if, because it's a TV show, I don't know if it was like for real they were finding out in a moment, but how it looked was that some of these people were hearing this from their SOs for the very first time. They never heard this information before. So then we find out that when in the process when they were broken up, Jay went on some dates like with some women quickly after they had broken up, and Daisy was upset about it because she was like, you're moving on very quickly. And she asked him, when you were dating when we were broken up, you went on a date with this girl, did anything happen? And Jay said nothing happened. That's the story he kept on telling her and trying to get her to think she was delusional for thinking something, because she knew in her spirit, she knew that something was not right. But he kept saying nothing happened. And then at the therapy session, he then says that, actually, I want to tell you something. That girl I went out with, yeah, we kissed. And she's like, so you had all this time to tell me and you just decided to play in my face? Pretty much, yeah. Yeah. So then he, in the confessional, like, you know how shows be having confessionals, he says that he was of course gonna double down on the lie. He was like, when you get caught in a lie, of course you double down. So that's when I knew. I was like, Jay, you sketchy and you not trustworthy. Okay, cool. Then she says that she also went on a date when they were broken up. But the only reason she did it was that she wanted to get her get back, pretty much. She said, "You do me, I do you." So she wasn't even over Jay, and she didn't feel like it, but she still went out, right? So she went out with this guy, and then she reveals this at the therapy session, and Jay gets up and starts acting so angry. Like, why would you do that? Yeah, I'm like, you did the exact same thing except worse. I hate when people do this. This is one thing that irritates me, is when you're angry at somebody because of something they did, and then they look and they scrounge and they go crawling around to find a reason, literally pulling a reason out of thin air to be just as upset at you as you are at them. So they have a reason to be, all fired up. So he's fired up. He's like, this is unacceptable. I'm like, what are you trying to do? Like, who you actually think you're fooling? Like, he really just wanted a reason to be upset. That's what I got from that. Yeah. And then basically throughout the therapy sessions, basically, Daisy's like, I don't want to have more kids. And he's like, I want to have more kids. And I thought we were on the same page about that. And she says, I've seen what it's like to be a mother to your kids. As in, she doesn't feel supported even at home because she's the primary caregiver of the child. She feels like she's pulling all the weight when it comes to childcare. So she is like, I don't want to have another child with you. And then Jay's like, oh, you're turning around. I thought this man's mouth was running. Oh my gosh. And then I'm just here like, Jay, you're not listening. You're not listening. She's saying she doesn't want to have another child with you because you're not supporting her. Why would she want to have more children if she knows this is how it's gonna be? And it's like, no, she's clearly telling you that, and she said this, like, I just don't feel like this is an equal partnership in terms of sharing, so I don't want to have another child with you. And so basically, yeah, Jay was frustrating me this whole thing. And Daisy, one thing I will say about Daisy is that she seems to have issues with forgiveness and resentment. Like, she's very much, she said this exact line. She said, you do me, I do you. And I just feel like I get it to some extent, but when you're always thinking about getting your get back, you know what I'm saying? It's sometimes it's not worth it. Like going on a date when you don't even want to go on a date, that was not worth it. That wasn't worth it at all. So it's that type of thing where I'm like, she does things just like, she seems to have a hard time letting things go and not doing revenge. It's like it's not every day you do revenge. Like, it's really not. Sometimes just break up, just let it go. If the relationship is not working for you and raising kids with this person not working for you, then I beg, just allow it rest. And as for Jay, you want more kids, you're the same one who's going to get a tattoo when your child has just been born. Please be serious. And then the next couple we can get into is Mariah and Victor. So them two are basically an influencer couple, and their whole business and brand they built together. So not only are they a couple, but their livelihoods are intertwined, And basically their whole big thing is Mariah wants to get married and Victor does not. And they've been together for 7 years. Yeah. So basically Victor is like, I don't see the purpose in getting married. I don't want to do it. Like, I don't see like we can continue our relationship without getting married. And Mariah is like, I've told you I want marriage. And it's at this point I'm like, Mariah, you've been here 7 years. This man has not given you not even a ring, not even an indication that he wants to get married to you. And you're still here. It's not, what are we supposed to do for you? And then we find out that actually Mariah's family doesn't even really, it's not that they don't like Victor, like they're okay with him, but they don't approve of him not proposing to her. Like, they're like, you've been with him 7 years and y'all not married. It's not making much sense. And Victor comes from, like, he grew up with a traumatic childhood where he struggled to feel understood and loved, even within his own family, even outside. So there's some issues there, which I'm not sure if I was just not looking or reading deeply enough into it, but I was failing to understand why he was so, like, not willing to get married. Like, I get it, you have a traumatic childhood, but it's like she's already showing you that she loves you. And I don't know if it's that in his mind he feels like she can only, I think he said something along the lines of like she's withholding love or something. Let me not misquote, but I think because like she's withholding love or some love and some things from the relationship because they're not married. So that could be it. But I'm just like, bruh, she clearly wants marriage. And I'm just like, anyways. So then there's the cultural differences. I think that's a very big thing for the two of them as well. We kind of started off with a lot of the couples, we would start off with one issue and then find other issues within the relationship, and then by the end of it I felt like we still didn't even solve the major issue. That was my feeling, yeah, for a lot of these couples, yeah. But I mean, it is what it is. So in terms of the cultural differences, basically, because she's Nigerian, when you go and you greet parents, you're supposed to kneel down to greet them. And Victor is not about that kneeling life. He said it's not reasonable for me to greet people and show them respect. You have to earn my respect. Why should I kneel down and greet you when it's the first time I've met you? And I think that's like it's really just a conundrum, because I get it, like, especially from African households, we're just expected to respect our elders. That's how it's supposed to be. And when you date an African person, I mean, especially a Nigerian, you have to keep that at the back of your mind, right? um but also, like, I get it. a the kneeling thing is like, it's a point of contention. So, but like, at the end of the day, you already know, like, she was never not Nigerian. You knew she was Nigerian going into this. You actually just have to charge it, like. But anyways, so basically her family has been saying, oh, we don't understand why you're not married. And she speaks to, I think it was her, I can't remember if it was a friend or a sister, but she's like, I think it was her sister. And her sister was like, if it were me and I was in a relationship for 7 years and he hadn't married me, would you tell me to stay? And she's basically like, and Mariah is basically like, not tell you to go. So it's like she knows that this situation she's in is really not ideal. And she also says that it's hard because they run a business together, and that's, I hope she's not staying solely for the business. She obviously loves him, but it's like when you have that intertwined as well, then it's much harder to leave if you're not happy. But then he complains that at the last therapy session, he's like, as I said, marriage, like, not being married is holding her back from showing me some things. And then he's also like, he wants kids, and the fact that they're not married is what's holding Mariah back. So you let me see if I understand this right, yeah. So you are willing to make the commitment of having kids with her, but marriage is a no-go. What is the issue? At that point, if she wants to be married and you want to have kids, even just go to a courtroom and sign the damn documents. Like, that's all it takes, really. Like, you're actually dragging this issue. If like, if you want to commit to kids, and the one thing that's stopping her from having kids is being married, why don't you just get married? Because I fail to understand what the issue is with the marriage. Just sign a court doc. You don't even gotta do a big thing. Just get married, or don't, and break up with her. Because actually, like, obviously not everybody's gonna want to be married, but if your partner clearly wants that from you, and you say, because he said he's not against the institution of marriage, so I'm like, what's the big idea? What actually is the big idea? But anyways, that's that. I was like, Mara, if you're not happy and he's not proposing to you, then I don't know what you're still doing here. 7 years is actually crazy. 7 years and you run a business together. That's mad. So then the next couple is Yaz and Mike. So Yaz and Mike are engaged with a child. So they have a really young little baby. And then basically Mike grew up poor, and because he grew up without access to certain things, now that he has a job, he finds himself wanting to buy a lot of things that he couldn't afford when he was younger, which is a reasonable thing. I mean, for people who did like grow up with, obviously we want to all give ourselves um the things we never had access to when we were kids. But the issue is he seems to have a shopping addiction. Again, I'm not diagnosing anybody, I'm just saying what I'm seeing on screen. So basically he's very much an impulse buyer, and he'll buy things, buy and buy and buy and buy and buy, and he's accumulated so much credit card debt, and so they're constantly paying for all the debts. And the thing is, Jazz, because they're engaging with a child, she's committed to also paying his debts, right? So they're paying the debts together, and the therapist asked them who earns more, and we found out that Yaz earns almost twice as much as Mike, right? So a lot of the paying of the debt kind of falls on her shoulders to some extent. And we find out at the same time as Yaz that he is unemployed. And the big thing is, he's unemployed, but every day he's been dressing up. So he'll get up in the morning, dress up, get in a car, and drive off somewhere, acting like he's going to work. And then he'll come back at the end of the day. So he's been unemployed. Yaz doesn't know that he's unemployed. And he's been dressing up every day, going to whatever make believe office and pretending he's employed. Yeah. Because the whole time he's been let go, he was made redundant at work. And I would have broken up with him right there and then if it was me, because I know you're actually not being serious. So we're out here. I'm paying the debt, most of the debt. I'm supporting you in paying this debt. And instead of supporting yourself to pay this debt, you continue to impulse buy, and you're unemployed, and you didn't say that you were unemployed. Are you mad? Guys, it's actually crazy. Are you actually mad?
Are you not ashamed of yourself? Are you not embarrassed? This is really embarrassing.
And so he's like, I feel like a failure of a man because I'm unemployed and like I'm not supporting my family. And I'm just like, what are we supposed to say? Like, you want to throw yourself a pity party? What are we supposed to say to you? You've been out here really doing up a whole pretend. It's the dress up. It's the common show and tell for me for you to be unemployed. Whew. And so he doesn't like that. After this revelation, Yaz starts treating him like a child. Because she's just basically like, have you been taking care of this? Have you been taking care of that? How much have you spent today? So she's basically tracking the money because at this point she doesn't trust him with his own money. I think she basically said she was gonna take away the credit card, one of his credit cards, and like he was like, you're treating me like a child, I don't like it. I was like, how else do you want to be treated after the shenanigans you pulled? Like, I don't know what to tell you, bruh. Good, that is, oh my gosh. And then we find out that another big challenge in these people's relationship is intimacy. And so basically he feels like um intimacy is transactional to an extent. So she asks him in the therapy session, do you feel like why do you treat intimacy like it's transactional? And the therapist asks him, and he's basically like, because I feel like it is transactional. So he basically will do like chores in the house in expectation of the return of intimacy. And I'm just like, I it was weird because even guys was like, why don't you just do it, because this is a partnership and we're supposed to both put in the work. Yeah. It's like, so she basically like, I take care of the child, I go to work, I earn the money, I'm clearing your debt, all I ask you to do is do some work around the house, and you acting like it's transactional. It's crazy. like help out your wife. It's like we're supposed to. It's the whole point of a relationship to like ease each other's burdens and like be able to help each other and support each other. But what is? And so basically, but they end up both putting in the effort to work on their intimacy because I do feel like in the busyness of it all, you still need to have that with your partner. And so that's basically what they end up doing. And yeah, the therapist basically gives them some exercises, some homework, so where they would look into each other's eyes and stuff like that to just maintain that connection. And I'm happy about it, I guess. But yeah, as for the shenanigans, the spending shenanigans, I don't know what I can say about that. And then we find out that he gives us a scare. Mike, you gave us a scare in one of the therapy sessions where he was basically talking to one of his friends and he's like, I'm feeling big now. I got money in my bank account because of the redundancy pay. And now he was, and so in the therapy sessions, he's like, I went to an Audi because when he first met Yeah, she was driving an Audi. He had some beat up car. That's what he said. I didn't call his car beat up. He said that. So, but he might not have used that exact verbiage, but that's basically what he was getting at. And so he goes to an Audi shop now that he got his redundancy pay, and he almost, thankfully, almost signs the papers to buy a car. And I'm like, I'm actually so happy you didn't go through with this, Mike, because yeah, um, yeah, that would have really not been nice. But what would we have honestly said at that point? At that point, if Yaz would have stayed after that, that would have. I feel like that would have literally been the final straw if he had gone and bought that car because that's the ultimate form of not just a lack of trust but disrespect. Because no way you were leaving her to pay all these debts and you buying a car with the redundancy pay instead of using the redundancy to pay off the debts. So yeah, okay. And by the end of the series, Yaz is pregnant again. So that's them too. And then there's Debbie and Kelvin. Now, these two are basically, they've been in a relationship for a long time. And the whole big issue is Kelvin is very focused on his restaurant business. And the background of this restaurant is basically his mom had this restaurant when he was a kid and she ended up having to close it. And so when he grew up, he bought the place, the same exact place where the restaurant was, and he decided he was going to dedicate his time to basically rebuilding his mom's restaurant, which is really nice, it's really amazing. But the whole issue is because he spent so much time at work building this business, he doesn't have time for Debbie, and she's really frustrated because she's like, I don't see him. The only time I see him is when I go to the restaurant. And from this, I got a sense that Kelvin honestly wasn't putting in the effort. That's what I was getting. There was a severe lack of effort because I get it. You are incredibly busy. Guys, it happens. We're all adults. We got things to do. But at the end of the day, if you decide to be in a relationship, then be there. Really, really be there. Because she was telling him all these issues and he was basically like, I was getting a sense that he just didn't care. He didn't care all that much. Like he was way too complacent in this relationship because, and she said this herself, she was like, I feel like he's getting too comfortable thinking that I wouldn't leave him, but I would leave him. And when I'm done, I'm done. That's what she basically said. And also very poor communication because he and to some extent the both of them be hearing things in extremes. So for him, she's telling him that I want you to take some time out to spend more time with me, and he's hearing um you want me to stop and close the restaurant and stop working. And I was like, that's not even what she said. Like I don't know why people do this. Like they think you're going to the absolute most extreme when it's like there is actually middle ground. It actually exists. It's not one way or the other way. Like relax. Genuinely relax.
Lack of communication, lack of communication, lack of communication.
Debbie is basically, I think Debbie's issue is also that because at the end of the day, a lot of these couples, like, yeah, it will kind of be like this. I'm not saying both sides will take equal blame, but a lot of the time, both sides could do a little something to make the situation better. You see what I'm saying? Like, even if there's another party is less at fault, they could still be doing something to make it work. And so with Debbie, she basically, to some extent, was just not understanding his point of view of time. I think they both just needed to find a compromise. And I think a compromise did exist. Yeah, definitely. Like he just needed to be intentional. And I absolutely get her frustration, but she could have also found a way to kind of, like, both sides have to give something. You know what I'm saying? For the if it's gonna work. And then we find out that Kelvin's mother and sister have basically been like, she doesn't understand you and she might not be the one for you. The mom makes this comment because the sister asked on a call with the mom, do you think that Debbie is right for Kelvin? And the mom said, at this point in your life, no, she's not the one. And basically, he Kelvin takes a while to tell Debbie this, but he does eventually tell her, and she's like, "Why would your mom ever say that?" So she's really upset with the mother for saying this kind of comment. And this is where I'm just like, I'm not sure. Let me know what you guys think, because I feel like family members and the people that care about you are entitled to opinions about your significant other. I feel like that's a thing, because I know me personally, if my friend is dating somebody and I think he's trash, I'm just gonna say that. If I think he's a fool, I'm really gonna come and say that, because I would rather say it and then they break up rather than, nah, I don't say anything. I choose to forever hold my peace, and then 2 years down the line they're married, and then 2 years after that they're getting divorced, and it's a messy divorce, and I'm like, oh, this could have been avoided if I just said what I wanted to say. Now, if that person chooses not to listen, that's up to them. That is really up to them, guys. But I feel like people should be allowed to give that opinion, because at the end of the day, isn't this a common thing? Like, for family and friends, you want to know what they think about your partner, because they might see something that you're not able to see. And the mom clearly says, like, I think that Debbie is a darling, she's sweet, but at the end of the day, she might not be the one for you. I feel like that's an okay statement. Like, I know some mothers in law can be like, very, very, but I don't think it ever gave problematic with this one. I feel like she was just giving her opinion. And I feel like she's allowed to do that. And on top of that, she wasn't giving it unprovoked. She was asked. I think it's okay. I would give my opinion unprovoked. Maybe not to that person's face, but she didn't even say it to Debbie's face. She said it on a call in a separate scenario. And then she said that in response to the sister's question, do you think Debbie is right for him? So I just don't get why we got all this smoke for the mom. Now, the mom, let's even stay on the mom for a second, because the therapist asks, are your parents still together, Kelvin? And he says no. And then she asks, why are they not together? Is it because your mother was too focused on the business, this same restaurant business? And then he says, yeah, that's pretty much why they got divorced, because she never had time for home life. And then the therapist asks him, do you see this as your mother's mistake? And he says yes. And this is where I'm like, so that what you're doing is leading you down a path where you're gonna break up with her. Like, it's gonna lead to the destruction of a relationship. You've seen this and you've witnessed this in 4K, and you're repeating the same thing, and you don't even see how messed up that is. Hmm. Hmm. This is why I'm like, Kelvin, you're actually not being serious. Like, if you want a relationship, then put in the effort. Yeah. And then the next couple is Monz and Shay. So as for Monz and Shay, they've been together, and basically Shay has been cheating on Monz multiple times. That's why Monz brought her in to the couples therapy, because um honestly, I don't know why you're even still here. If she's cheated on you multiple times, why are we even doing couples therapy? But anyways, to each their own. And Monz said this in her own therapy session. She said that she was warned, you're gonna have to learn the easy way or the hard way. And she said, I'm finna learn the hard way. Because she was warned. She was warned well in advance about Shay, and she's still in this relationship. So she chose to learn the hard way. And that's why I was like, Monz, whatever you go through at this point, it's very hard to feel sorry for you. I would like, because you're actually staying here and choosing to learn the hard way. So that's really on you. So basically, Monz is like, she goes out, she flirts with other girls, and I don't like that. And not only flirting with other girls, basically cheating. And then the therapist is like, what's your definition of cheating? Because Monz and Shay have different definitions of cheating. And Monz is like just talking to other girls flirtatiously and that type of thing. And Shay is like, I see cheating as the physical thing. And I was like, oh. And then, so then the therapist says, okay, Shay, by your definition, do you think you've cheated a lot? And still the answer is yes. So I'm like, it doesn't even check. Not You're not even making a better argument for yourself. The answer is still bad. Whether it's your definition or her definition, is still bad. Okay, well. And so we found out that Shay basically really likes to spend time with her friends. And like spending time with your friends is of course a good thing. Like you should, just because you're in a relationship doesn't mean cut off everybody else. But like you have to be able to balance. You gotta spend time with your partner and with your friends. And Monza's problem is she don't seem to be like putting in enough effort to spend time with her. She's always going out, and even when she goes out, then she's cheating. So it's a layered type of issue. And then Month doesn't seem to have much of like a social life going on. Respectfully, that's what it would like. That's what seems to be going on. And Monz, on the other hand, only asks Shay for one date night a month type of thing. That's what she's talking about when she means spending time. And even the therapist is like, that doesn't seem like a big ask. Because it's not. She's asking for one date night a month and you can't do that. Nah, this guys, once they came in and said, oh yeah, we're still together despite the cheating, I want to learn the hard way, I was just like, well, now, and some of these couples, a lot of these couples, y'all finna have to learn the hard way for real. The very, very hard way. Yeah. And then we have Carmen and Junior. So basically, Carmen and Junior um they were married before, they got divorced, and then they got back together. And Junior still holds some resentment towards Carmen because the day she asked him for a divorce and brought the papers and everything is the same day as his birthday. So she chose his birthday. But I don't know if you choose. I actually don't know how it legally works if you can choose the day. But basically, the day he got served with the papers was his birthday. And I'm like, ooh, that's not nice. That is like if you had a say in the matter. I don't know if she could have chosen, but if you chose that, that is absolutely diabolical. Why would you ever do that to somebody? Like, nah, that's not nice. And he's just failed to let go of this issue. And even the therapist is like, resentment is not good. If you're gonna choose to get back together with somebody, then you like I feel like you should just start on a clean slate. That's how I feel. Otherwise, just stay broken. There's actually no need. It's not by force to get back together. But if you choose to get back together, then I feel like you just gotta start on a clean slate. And if that's the choice you're gonna make. And then a big issue for them is they already have kids, but Carmen she wants to have more kids basically. And I was kind of confused if them two were having two separate conversations, because it seems like Carmen says that every time they talked about having kids they were on the same page. They said they would have more kids. And then he like it's just kind of mixed up. So I'm like, was it more kids, yay or nay? Like, what did you guys agree on? And I'm saying this because we find out that, and she finds out in the room with us, that he got a vasectomy. This she knew. What she didn't know was he got a vasectomy, um, and he was supposed to freeze his sperm because she had said for us to have a better chance of having more kids in the future, you need to freeze your sperm. And he basically didn't freeze the sperm. And that's what they had agreed on. Now, the vasectomy, he also didn't tell her he was getting that. Because she was under the impression we're all for this thing of having more kids. So basically, he went and had a whole procedure and didn't say a thing to her. Yeah. So she didn't know this vasectomy was happening. Um, and then when she asks him what is the reason that you couldn't freeze your sperm, he says it was a scheduling issue. Guys, a scheduling issue. Because apparently he couldn't freeze the sperm before his vasectomy appointment. And I'm like, I know you're not being serious. So you decided you were going to make such a big decision based on a scheduling conflict. If you don't want to have more kids, you can actually just say that. Because she asks him, do you want to have more kids? And he's basically, I don't want to have more kids right now. So I'm like, why would you even do a vasectomy if you don't want to have, if the issue is the right now of it all? There's actually other ways to do birth control, like, and family planning. Other than that, I don't know why that's the thing you would jump for, because when I think vasectomy, I think permanent. And yes, it's reversible, but I'm thinking that's something you do like when you're sure, you know what I'm saying? But so I had to go and research what it actually means for a vasectomy to be reversible and how likely you are to have a baby after that. So basically, this is from Mayo Clinic. So basically, they say almost all vasectomies can be reversed. However, this doesn't guarantee success in conceiving a child. Vasectomy reversal can be attempted even if several years have passed since the original vasectomy. But the longer it has been, the less likely it is that the reversal will work. So I'm just like, why would you even take that risk? You see what I'm saying? This is a big, big risk to take. And on top of that, you did speak to your wife about it. Why is she finding out that she ain't got no sperm stored away at the same time as us? This is not nice. This is actually not nice. And I'm just like, Junior. And he doubles down on it as well. One thing about these people, they are going to double down. Instead of taking accountability, it's actually these people versus accountability. I'm not gonna lie. All I can say is, may my relationship never get bad enough that I have to be in a couples counseling room. Yeah. I don't even have a relationship, but I'm just saying, guys, it actually cannot be this ghetto to have to go to couples counseling and deal with issues like this. Guys, oh my gosh. Obviously, Carmen's trust is broken, and she doesn't even know if she's gonna have more kids now, or if that's even an option for her. Because I'm like, he doesn't seem all that, like, I don't know. When he started talking about scheduling conflict, I was like, if you don't want to have more kids, you can actually just say that. And instead of coming here with why are we doing fake excuses at this point in time? This is your second trial in the marriage, and you're already coming with fake excuses. Ugh. So the last couple we have is Dami and Germaine. So Dami and Germaine are basically this married couple, and they have a child together. I don't know if it was a child or children together, but I know that Dami stayed home once they had the kids, and Germaine continued to work, and he's been flourishing basically in his career. Business is booming, and Dami's just kind of like, I'm just exhausted of being at home alone because he works a lot, and it's like, I'm a new mom. I want support. I want my husband around, and he basically is another one who doesn't make time. He's another one who doesn't make time. Yeah. Um and so first of all, when I saw them sitting on opposite ends of the couch, I was like, yeah, okay. I was like, this is bad. Yeah, this is really bad. Because how are you on the couch with your husband and you're literally, ah, bah. I said, okay, guys, it's bad. It's bad. But basically, yeah, it's a big thing of time. And another thing for them is his work wife. guys, 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 guys. Work wives, guys. We actually have to let this go. Why are we doing work? You have an actual wife at home and you're doing work wife. Please be serious. Please, please, please be serious. Why do you need a work wife? You're actually already married. Guys, isn't even polygamy illegal? You can only be married to one person. Stick to one person you're married to. What are we even doing? Isn't it even illegal in the UK? Actually, let me research that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You cannot have polygamous marriages in the UK. So what are we even doing? Yeah. Um, it's actually quite ridiculous. I don't know why you need a work wife. Why do you need to have that level of intimacy with somebody who's not your wife? And then he's acting shocked and surprised when she says that she has an issue with this. I'm like, I know you're not being for real. Of course, she's gonna have an issue with it. And why can't you respect that? But he's coming here acting brand new, talk about be serious. Actually, be serious. Actually, be serious. Actually, be serious. And then we find out that another big issue for them is that they live in separate bedrooms. Why they do this? I I fail to understand if it was about like the kids or something to do with. But anyways, is what it is. And by the end of the show, they're still in separate bedrooms. I don't know why, because I thought things had improved by the end of the show, but still the same. And another heartbreaking thing about this couple is that they lost one of their kids to sickle cell. So basically, when Dami was pregnant, they found out, they did some testing and they found out the kid had sickle cells. And unfortunately, um, yeah, that was pretty much the end of it, that child's life. And I was just like, that's so unfortunate. And so that caused a big rift in their marriage. And basically, Dami chose to grieve more, and she wanted Germaine to grieve with her. And he just threw himself back into work almost instantly, like 2 months after this whole thing happened. And then, so that's basically it. Like, she wants her husband around, basically, is the whole point. And I think that that's just another important thing to think about when we're in relationships is genetic testing. It's important to get genetic testing done before you get married and before you have kids, because you never know what genes you might be a carrier for a disease, or you might have like a genetic mutation that gets passed on to the child, or a genetic some sort of issue with the genes that gets passed on to the kid, and then yeah, the kid ends up suffering for it. So it's important to do that kind of testing beforehand. I'm not even saying that they're to blame for it, because honestly that's just a heartbreaking scenario, but I think it's important to think about comprehensive genetic testing along the way. But yeah, that was just a little PSA. And basically at the end of it, they're becoming more intimate, which I think is what Dami wanted from this relationship. And honestly, out of all the couples, I genuinely actually believe in them. If I could pick one couple I actually hope works out, it's this married couple right here. Yeah. The rest of these couples, now y'all can break up at this point. At this point, because compromises are not willing to be made. Y'all won't stop cheating, y'all won't stop foolishness, so what's even the point? But yeah, that was Blue Therapy. Honestly, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting to know these relationship dynamics, and what I enjoyed the most of it was that I'm still single in 2026. Yeah, yeah, I'm actually happy to be single, because this is actually too much. Chaos is too much. I'm actually not involved. I'm really and truly not involved, guys. Every time I think about the dating scene nowadays, I don't even want to think about it. So I'm very glad that I'm single, especially after watching this show. Um, this show was quite embarrassing for the culture. I'll be so real. Let this be a lesson to everybody in a relationship or hoping for a relationship. Don't do what these people did. Yeah, I feel like one thing that is good that might come out of this show, it will hold the mirror up to people, and so they can see issues with a lack of communication. Guys, communicate. I feel like so many couples nowadays, the issue is one of the biggest issues is communication. And of course, all the other long list of, like, I've discovered new issues I didn't even know were issues for couples just from watching this show. Okay, cool. But yeah, guys, that's the end of my video. Thanks for listening to my unsolicited opinions. And if you have any different opinions, list them down in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.